Welcome back, and the commander of the Fiji military forces, Jone Kalouniwai, is with me. Sir, let's talk about the army itself. What are the biggest leadership challenges you see in your current role as head of the army?
For me, the biggest leadership challenge within the RFMF is the misconception that happens outside the RFMF. There's a lot of misconception about the RFMF. People don't really understand the RFMF. Again, some of the problem is the RFMF because we tend to keep within the walls of the RFMF. Something that has been happening for a very long time, and we've carried on with that way of doing things. But I think it's important for us to also tell our story. We need to share a lot in terms of making the people a lot more aware of what the RFMF is really about today. Only then will they really understand that it's not just uniforms and guns. There's a lot more than the RFMF.
Transparency and accountability, is that a problem now, or has it been a problem of the past and you're working on to improve that?
There's a huge improvement for us in terms of transparency and accountability. Again, it's something that's very key for us when it comes to transparency. You notice with the Pomau, we had actually sent out a thing about the Pomau, the BOI, the findings of the Board of Inquiry. Those are things that are very important for us. At the end of the day, we feel we are accountable to the taxpayers, accountable to government, accountable to the public at large. They really need to understand the RFMF, and as I said, the challenge for us has always been us keeping ourselves in a closed door, closed environment. For now, we're changing. We're beginning to get out of that box, be a lot more seen to the public at large. Should provide a lot more awareness. That's important for us.
Do you think former commanders failed to do that, to keep the military transparent and accountable?
I wouldn't say they failed. I would just say that the conditions at that time were very different. Whether they wanted to do it or whether they couldn't do it or whether they just didn't want to do it. They had a different way of doing things. See, leaders are all different. The way they lead, the way they command. The RFMF, if you're looking at the Republic of Fiji military force or any military establishment, there are two ways that you lead. You are a leader, and then you are those that are leaders and commanders. If you're leaders, they always work in the grey. They will always try and compromise. Those are leaders. If you're a commander, then you'll have to play by the rule. 1 is 1, 2 is 2. It's all about black and white. So when you're becoming a leader and a commander, you're wearing two hats. So it's very important for us to actually understand how do we operate as leaders with the RFMF. Some people tend to just wear the commander's hat. Some people tend to wear just the leader's hat. And then some try to integrate both and look for a commonality within these areas where they can actually work through.
So you are a commander and leader in one?
I hope to be that.
Do you yell orders to your officers?
No, I don't do that.
Don't do that. And why don't you do that?
It's not good. That's not the way leaders act. If you want to say something to somebody, you can call him to your office and just talk to them and share them with your experiences.
Talking about accountability and transparency, the regimental funds, those books are still closed to the Auditor General?
That's a good question. They have continued, they're still closed. Yeah, they're still closed. We haven't opened them up. But again, that's something that we are looking at as well. But there's nothing sinister about that. It's just that we're using it just for the education and also for medical bills for the soldiers. Yeah.
So there's nothing sinister. Why don't you open the books to the Auditor General?
Well, maybe someday I'll try and do that.
Let's talk about the main priorities of the military after you took command in September 2021. What were some of the main priorities that you had to stack up to address to get things going?
First one was to actually put a plan in place, which we actually did. So I got the appointment in September of 2021. December I put a team together where we started to work on our 5-year strategic plan, which actually set the pace for us in terms of where we're going on today. And the second was to start to put in a climate of trust. My philosophy for leadership within the RFMF, my intent, command intent for the RFMF is all based on trust. So for me, trust is all about you making yourself vulnerable to the person that you're working with, them making themselves vulnerable to the leadership. So with that, we are compromising. We're beginning to trust. We're beginning to share a lot of things that actually helps us grow within the RFMF.
Is it difficult to manage 5,000 officers?
For us, as I said, we have this concept of mission command. So a lot of responsibilities are decentralized away from the commander. I work at a strategic level. My responsibilities are just for me and the minister and the senior echelon of the RFMF. Then you have those that are working at the operational level. They're in command of the Commander Land Forces, the commander of the Joint Task Force here, the Naval Commander, Territorial Force Commander. They take a lot of responsibility at the operational level. And you have those that are working at the tactical level. They have a lot more one-to-one with the soldiers.
You don't micromanage?
No, I don't micromanage.
Tell us about the morning when you heard that the poor Mau had run aground, when you heard that news. What went through your mind?
Oh, I was disappointed. We just got $1 million asset. It was just given to us for a few days. It went out on its first maiden voyage and then it got stuck on the reef. So we really had to ask ourselves what went wrong, which is why I said the headquarters, Republic of Fiji Military Forces, will be responsible for making that board of inquiry.
The announcement of the board of inquiry was announced, a outcome was released, but has any action been taken on the officers involved, or is it an ongoing process?
It's an ongoing process, which is being handled by the Chief of Navy. Normally they will come to a court-martial process for the captain of the ship. He has to be held accountable for that mismanagement of the ship, the poor Mau. And then part of it is looking at the process of how to actually, the training aspects of it, what particular aspects of the voyage that they really need to focus on and review and make amend up with when they would come up with the next few SOPs. This
is after a long time a court-martial proceeding is being held in the military for a high-level case. Does it disappoint you that it has to happen in the internal processes you have, that somebody does wrong and you have to be court-martialed?
It's all part of the discipline process. We have our own discipline process within the RFMF. We have a lot of soldiers that go through a discipline process. But at this level, with what happened, that actually requires a court-martial to be put in place for that discipline action to actually go forward.
In the term you have been Office Commander Kalouniwai, have there been any cases of sexual abuse, sexual attacks brought to your table amongst the military officers?
Yes, they have. We've had a couple of few, not just here in Fiji, but in the Middle East. We had one recently in the Middle East that we had to deal with very quickly. We sent a team there for a board of inquiry. They came back with the findings. We sent our commander for the Joint Task Force was back out again because he's responsible for our deployment. He went there, he did his own assessment of the situation. So all of those guys who were involved, they were discharged for service no longer required within the RFMF. Those are heavy penalties because it actually affects our deployments in the Middle East. But not just there, in Fiji as well. It's happening, but I'm glad that we're working on our policies for the women in peacekeeping. So that is something that's happening. We have the LC project that's coming up, that's being funded by the UN, and the RFMF is part of that Women, Peace and Security program. So those are some of the initiatives that we're having at the moment.
So what's your message to prospective military officers or those who are already in the service? How should they be treating their counterparts, the females?
The way they want to be treated and the way they should be treated. That's important. I mean, everything now is about inclusivity, gender equality. That's very critical for the RFMF. It's a huge requirement for us as well when we were deploying into the UN. Not only that, we have responsibility here within Fiji as well. We have a lot of female soldiers that are being recruited today. But at the same time, we're working on the support structure, the support mechanism that we need to have to be able to strengthen their being part of the RFMF. And that's why we are working in tandem today with the UN, with the LC funding project that's actually helping us in that particular space.
And does the Fiji military's name get tainted when a case like a sexual attack is reported in a place overseas?
Yes, definitely it does. It has a huge impact on the RFMF. It actually questions the capacity of the RFMF whether we should be there or not. So it's that's why we sent the Board of Inquiry team very quickly. We sent in the commander of the Joint Task Force in the next phase, just to show those at the UNDPKO of how serious we were dealing with these particular issues, how serious the RFMF was about these issues.
The recent incident you talked about, Commander, could you elaborate when did this happen and how many officers were involved?
It happened about 4 months ago. We had about 4 officers involved in it. They have been discharged.
They can no longer join the military ever again?
And the service no longer required.
Service is no longer required. So let me ask you about the importance of having relations with international allies like Australia, US, New Zealand. So why is that important?
It's important. The things that are happening around us, we do not have the capacity to deal with it. When we're looking at it in terms of the region or more in the international scene. When you're looking at those emerging conditions, those emerging security conditions, those emerging threats that are happening, they're coming in very rapidly. In most cases, we are not aware of it. We do not understand how to deal with them. So our engagement with our defense partners actually allows us to collaborate with them and engage them and have a better understanding of these particular issues. So they provide us with a lot of understanding for these particular, not only understanding, they provide capacity training for us, capacity building, they provide capability for us, they provide infrastructure developments for us. So it helps us prepare to respond.
And the position of the Commissioner of Police has been advertised recently. Why is it important that the Commissioner of Police and the Commander of the RFMF work together?
It's important because the people of this country need to feel that both these positions are secure, because it allows them to have a lot of security. It provides them with a lot of security. It takes away all of that insecurity, all of that uncertainty. Not just for the public, but even more so for the organizations such as the police force, Fiji police force. It's important for them. It's critical for them to have a permanent commissioner of police in place.
Would you prefer a local or expatriate commissioner of police?
Well, as long as they can do the job, that's important for us.
A military officer in the commissioner of police position, is that acceptable?
They've tried that in the past so many years. I don't think it has worked. Or it has worked to some aspect, but not meeting what the outcomes were. I think it's maybe a time for a change. They should have somebody that's well deserving within the Fiji Police Force to take that lead role.
So the appointment of Siti Viningilio was, in so many words, not correct?
I wouldn't say that. As I said, you really have to look at the circumstances at that particular time. Was there someone there available or not? I don't know. What was behind the leaders at that time? What was the reason for them putting him there? What were the requirements for having him there?
What is the danger of putting a military commander in the Commissioner of Police's position?
Because we operate differently. Very simple. I'll give a very simple example. If you on the streets, if you see one police officer, that becomes a deterrent for anyone. Eh? For the military, it's different. If you see one military, did I say a police officer or military officer?
You said police.
Police. Okay, that's the police. If you have one military officer that's in the street, that's no deterrent, because it's determined by the numbers. The Fiji Police Force is all about visibility. It's all about the uniform. You have one person on the street, that's a deterrent. Oh, there's a police officer, we won't do this. But the way they understand the military, it's all about numbers. The larger the numbers, the stronger the force.
If I were to ask you to give a message to Fijians that Fiji is safe under your command, what would that message be?
I would say that the RFMF is working to transform for the better of this country. Transform to take away all of that insecurity, take away all of that tension, take away all of that uncertainty. And I can reassure them that the RFMF will no longer be dealing with coups. We will always be subservient to the government of the day. And that's my message. And I hope that the people of the RF, or people of this country will be able to accept the way we are moving forward, accept the fact that we are trying to reconcile. I take on board the comments of Mahendra Chaudhry. Those are words of wisdom, something that we all need to understand. But at the same time, I need to manage the way things are happening. Look at what we need to do as the RFMF. Because for me, the RFMF is a strategic enabler for this whole country. If I do something wrong, if the RFMF does something wrong, things change very quickly. Tensions rise very quickly. So managing that is very important for us. We need to continuously show to the public that the RFMF is moving into a direction that is totally different from what happened in the last 24 years or the last 16 years.
And have you got a succession plan in place? If tomorrow you are to leave, somebody there is going to step in and carry the ethos that you are preaching today?
The RFMF always works on a succession plan. We always have that command arrangement in place.
So the deputy commander will automatically step up, or can somebody else step in?
Step up, but then again, you have to look at the way things are happening with the COC, the Constitutional Office Commission. There are requirements to have it, but for a acting appointment, that's the necessary for us to happen. The deputy commander steps up.
Final question. Former commanders of the military have joined politics. They are in politics currently. Do you have a plan like that?
No, I don't. I haven't thought of politics. Maybe it's because the way people are looking at politics today is a different ball game altogether. So I haven't been dealing with politics at the moment.
Commander Kalouniwai, thank you for speaking to us, and all the best.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for coming to Lolo.
Thank you.